Preparing for a job interview in English? Want to use your best English to give clear, concise answers? Of course you do! Here I'll give you 5 English tenses you need for a successful English job interview. And don't worry, I'm not gonna give you a super hardcore grammar lesson. Let's keep things practical and super useful for your job interview in English. Let's go! Quick thing, do you make this mistake when you speak English? Do you use the present tense for every scenario, whether it's the past, the present, the future? Well, it's understandable. Normally, the present tense is the first thing you learn when you study English, so it's natural to go back to this familiar, comfortable language when you feel nervous. But in a job interview, using the wrong tense can be problematic. If you are explaining a story about your past, but you're using the present tense, the interviewer is probably going to get confused. And we don't want the interviewer feeling confused. We want crystal clear communication that shows all your value. So come on, let's use the correct English tenses for your job interview. On that note, when do we actually use the present tense in an English job interview? Talking about the professional tasks that you do on a regular basis, then yes, go for it. Please use the present tense. For example, I manage a team of 10 people. I coordinate the team schedule. I deliver sales reports every month. Got it? In your English job interview, the present tense is for fixed, routine habits that you do in your everyday professional life. And what about all the other things you need to explain in your English job interview? Keep watching and we'll see more tenses to help you. How do you describe a particular task or project that you are currently working on right now in the job that you have? Here's how. You'll say I am plus an action with ing. For example, at the moment I'm working on a new campaign. Or I am taking a course to improve my language skills. Or currently I am developing training materials for new employees. So notice this tense is not for fixed, routine professional duties. You'll use this tense to give the interviewer an idea of what particular task you're currently working on in your job right now. Hey, is this useful for you? If yes, then please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more tips to help you speak English in professional situations. Thank you. This next tense is ideal for explaining a job that you already started but continue doing today. Check it out. I have worked as a marketing specialist since 2022. When we follow this structure, we're saying that we started working in this position in 2022 and have continued in the same job since that moment until today. It started in the past, but it's still in progress. Following this idea, in your English job interview, you could also say sentences like, I have collaborated with different departments for the last 2 years. I have organized many different events since I started in this role. Notice you're going to say for a period of time and since a specific moment when you use this tense. You can also use this tense in English to talk about your development and achievements. For example, I have really improved my organizational skills in this role. I have won 3 awards for my work in marketing. In these examples, we're choosing to use this particular tense because we're talking about something that has happened in the past but has a lot of importance and relevance to the present. It's not a finished story. And how do we make this tense for your job interview? Well, we're just gonna say I have, and then we're gonna put an action with ed at the end. For example, I have worked, I have improved. But there are a few little exceptions. For example, we say do as an action. In the past, we say did. And then you want to choose for this tense the third option, done. I have done. So a sentence you could say is, I have done extensive research on your company. So with this tense, we're always going to try find the third option. I give, I gave, I have given lots of presentations to important clients. I become, I became, I have become a key member of this team. Am, was, been. What? I have been in marketing for 10 years. Okay, and last thing about this tense, then I promise I'll stop torturing you. We're not going to use time expressions that are finished. So don't use expressions like last year, last month, yesterday. That doesn't work with this tense. You can use time expressions that are still continuing. For example, today, or this month, or this year. We're still inside that time period, so it's okay. Phew, okay, done. That was a difficult tense. So I hope you're feeling okay. Please keep watching because I've got a couple of other tenses that I think are going to be useful for you for your job interview in English. This tense is the past simple, so let's keep it simple. Bad joke, sorry. We're gonna talk about past events that are definitely finished. In the case of your job interview in English, this is probably gonna be talking about your past work experiences and achievements. For example, in my last job, I designed digital marketing campaigns. I provided analytical reports. I detected the customer's needs and objectives. So to construct this tense in your sentence, most of the time you just need to take your action and add ed at the end. Designed, detected. Ready for the fun part? All the weird exceptions in English. Here are some useful irregulars that you can use in your English job interview. In my last job, I built a strong network. I led training sessions. I spent 6 months on the project. Okay, we got it. Talking about a finished event in the past, use the past simple. Cool. So what other tense could be useful for your job interview in English? We know that if you are explaining a finished event in the past, use the past simple. Great. But here's a tip that you can use. Try adding a little bit of background context at the beginning of your story using this tense. I was plus an action with ing. For example, I was working on a major project when the pandemic started. I was leading a team when the company decided to expand. So we use this tense to create a nice background situation and then, bam, we use the past simple to give the main event, the main story. You didn't think I'd forget about the future, did you? In your job interview in English, there's probably a few different scenarios when you need to talk about the future. For example, you'll probably talk about your career aspirations and goals. Strangely, you actually use the present tense a lot of the time when you explain your future goals. You use expressions like, my plan is to da-da-da, or my goal is to da-da-da. For example, my goal is to take on more leadership roles in the next year. You might also want to explain your future predictions for your industry. In that case, you can use expressions like I think, or I believe, or even I predict, and just combine that with the word will and an action. For example, I think customer expectations will grow in the next 2 years. If you're feeling really fancy, use an expression like I think there will be. For example, I think there will be a rise in prices. Okay, and I have one more little bonus to help you in your job interview in English. While we've been preparing different tenses you can use for your job interview in English, have you noticed we've used expressions like I am and I have? My tip for you to sound super fluent when you use these particular expressions is to actually combine those two words together. For example, you can say, I am working on a new project, which is fine, but naturally spoken English will sound like this: I'm working on a new project. The same when we're using the tense I have plus an action. For example, I have worked here for 5 years is good, but to sound extra fluent, you can say I've worked here for 5 years. My other advice to speak fluent English for your job interview is, you guessed it, to practice and practice. In fact, you can do that with me. Check out my website talktips.tv to see lots of learning resources to prepare your English skills for your job interview and other professional situations. Thank you so much for watching, and let's keep in touch.